There is a phrase that has quietly become the most alarming sentence inside Buckingham Palace in the spring of 2026. It is not a legal threat. It is not a public statement. It is not even a headline yet. It is a quote from a publishing insider that reads like a declaration of war, voice notes on her phone at 1 a.m., written journals, structured reflections. She has been documenting everything since before Megxit. This is not a rumor. This is a sourced claim from deep within the publishing world, and right now, King Charles, Prince William, and the palace's most senior advisors are running a worst-case scenario calculation. We are talking about a woman who has been methodically, systematically, and deliberately creating a documentary record of events involving the British royal family going back years. This isn't just about money, it's about a preparation for total informational warfare. To understand what Meghan is allegedly sitting on, we have to look at the timeline. Prince Harry himself once mentioned that a friend suggested they document themselves through their transition. At the time, we thought it was for Netflix. But the truth is far more dangerous. What is allegedly sitting in Meghan's phone right now is raw. It's not cleaned up for a legal team or edited for a streaming giant. These are voice memos recorded in the small hours of the morning, capturing the raw emotion and the unfiltered reality of life behind the palace gates. The burning question inside the palace is simple. How far back does it go? And more importantly, who is mentioned? Royal biographer Hugo Vickers recently made a claim that stopped everyone cold. He stated that the late Queen Elizabeth II became genuinely fearful that Harry and Meghan were secretly recording her. Imagine that, the most experienced head of state in modern history, a woman who dealt with world leaders and crises for decades, felt she couldn't be alone with her own grandson without a witness present. The trust wasn't just broken, it was obliterated. Fast forward to May 2026. King Charles has just completed a triumphant state visit to the United States. He was received with standing ovations and state dinners. And where were Harry and Meghan? 3 hours away in Montecito, completely ignored. Not an invitation, not a handshake, nothing. The silence from the king is deafening, and sources say a meeting is now considered impossible. Why? Because the advisors believe any private conversation will be recorded and weaponized. The king cannot speak to his son because he fears his son's wife is documenting his every word. Meghan isn't just doing this alone. She is surrounded by a formidable network of power. Oprah Winfrey, Shonda Rhimes, Melody Hobson, these aren't just friends, they are architects of global influence. One source described this circle with precision. They show up for advice, funding, and contacts. Meghan has access to the money, the media, and the infrastructure to launch this archive whenever she chooses. If this material becomes public, it won't be a quiet release. It will be a coordinated high-production detonation that will make Harry's book, Spare, look like a bedtime story. The palace is on red alert. They know that while Harry's book was a memory, Meghan's archive is a record. A record of every slight, every argument, and every secret whispered in the halls of power. And as the world watches, the tension only grows. Is she waiting for the right moment to strike, or is the mere existence of these recordings her ultimate leverage? One thing is certain, the woman who documented everything at 1 a.m. holds the keys to the monarchy's greatest nightmare. While Meghan calculates her moves in Montecito, a much darker storm is gathering across the Atlantic. Prince William, the man who will one day wear the crown, has reportedly reached his breaking point. According to royal insiders and the latest explosive biography, Betrayal, by Tom Bower, William is no longer playing defense. He is preparing what insiders call the nuclear option. 4 years, the world has watched the brothers' relationship crumble, but 2026 marks a terrifying shift. William is said to be ready to take drastic action the moment he ascends the throne, stripping Harry and Meghan of every single title they hold. But it doesn't stop with the Duke and Duchess. The most chilling part of William's alleged plan involves 2 innocent children, Archie and Lilibet. Currently, at 7 and 4 years old, they carry the titles of Prince and Princess, a right granted by King Charles after the Queen's passing. However, William reportedly views these titles as a liability. He believes that using royal status to sell sensationalist content is a direct attack on the sanctity of the monarchy. The palace walls are whispering that William is prepared to rail against what he calls disloyalty by removing the titles from his own niece and nephew. This is the ultimate threat hanging over the Sussexes, a total erasure from royal history. The Sussex camp has fired back, calling these reports deranged conspiracy and melodrama. Their spokespeople claim that people like Tom Bower have built careers out of constructing elaborate theories about a family they don't even know. But beneath the public denials, there is a very real legal fear. Harry reportedly watched the stripping of Prince Andrew's titles with a sense of dread, realizing that royal status is no longer invincible. If William moves forward with this plan, the Sussexes lose their most valuable brand asset. Without the titles, are they still global icons, or are they just another celebrity couple in California? This brings us to the most desperate part of the story: the money. Behind the polished Instagram posts and the glamorous appearances, the Sussexes are facing a massive commercial squeeze. Their original $100 million deal with Netflix expired in 2025. While they signed a new first-look deal, it is far from a guarantee of income. In the entertainment industry, a first-look deal is just an invitation to the table, not a check in the bank. Their recent documentary projects have struggled to find buyers in a market that has grown weary of royal grievances. Meghan's podcast was not renewed for a second season, and her lifestyle brand, while active, requires constant momentum to stay profitable. The math is simple and brutal. Their lifestyle, the security, the mansion, the high-stakes legal battles, costs millions of dollars a year. When the Hollywood deals dry up, what is left? This is why the archive, the journals, and the 1 a.m. recordings are so dangerous. They are no longer just personal memories. They are the most valuable intellectual property the Sussexes own. In the eyes of a publisher, a raw, unfiltered memoir from Meghan Markle based on real-time recordings is worth more than any Netflix documentary or lifestyle brand. It is the break glass in case of emergency option. The palace knows that financial desperation is a powerful motivator. King Charles is reportedly caught in a heartbreaking middle ground. He wants to be a father, he wants to see his grandchildren. But his advisors are screaming at him to stay away. They see the recordings as a trap. Every time Charles considers an olive branch, he is reminded of those voice notes. The tragedy of the House of Windsor in 2026 is that the King of England cannot hug his own son without fearing it will end up as a time-stamped entry in a digital archive. As we move deeper into this standoff, the stakes couldn't be higher. William is waiting with the nuclear option of stripping titles, while Meghan sits on an archive that could burn the house down. It is a stalemate of epic proportions. The Sussexes are fighting for their financial survival and their public narrative, while the monarchy is fighting for its very existence in a world that is increasingly skeptical of its secrets. The question is no longer if a strike will happen, but who will pull the trigger first. Will it be William with the law, or Meghan with the truth? To truly understand the magnitude of Meghan Markle's 1 a.m. recordings, we must look back at a ghost that still haunts the corridors of Buckingham Palace, Princess Diana. In the early 1990s, the monarchy was shaken to its core when Diana secretly collaborated on a book that revealed the dark reality of her marriage and life inside the palace. She did it using secret audio tapes, recorded in the privacy of Kensington Palace, away from the prying eyes of royal aides. Those tapes changed everything. They didn't just end a marriage, they forced the monarchy to modernize or face extinction. Now, 30 years later, history isn't just repeating itself, it's being upgraded for the digital age. While Diana had a tape recorder, Meghan has a smartphone. While Diana had one journalist, Meghan has a global multimedia infrastructure and a circle of the world's most powerful influencers. The parallel is terrifying for the royal family. They remember the fallout. They remember how a few hours of raw, unfiltered audio destroyed decades of carefully crafted public relations. The difference today is that Meghan's archive allegedly spans years, documenting the internal collapse of the royal institution in real time, from the inside out. As we stand in mid-2026, the psychological warfare has reached a fever pitch. A source close to the Sussexes suggests that Meghan is acutely aware of the power she holds. She isn't just a former royal, she is a historian of her own trauma. This archive isn't a book of grievances in her eyes, it is her insurance policy. In the world of high-stakes power dynamics, information is the only currency that matters. As long as those recordings exist, Meghan Markle remains the most dangerous person to the British crown. She doesn't need to publish a single word to exercise power. The mere knowledge that she could is enough to keep the palace in a state of permanent anxiety. But what is the endgame? For King Charles, the clock is ticking. At 77, battling health issues and trying to maintain the stability of the Commonwealth, He is a man caught between his duty as a king and his heart as a grandfather. Insiders say he is heartbroken by the information asymmetry. He knows that every olive branch he extends could be misconstrued, recorded, or leaked. This has created a fortress of silence around the king. The tragedy of the Sussex exit is no longer just about their physical absence from London. It's about the total death of privacy within the family. On the other side, Prince William is looking at a long-term horizon. He is the king in waiting, and his priority is the survival of the institution at any cost. If that means a total surgical removal of the Sussexes from the royal fabric, he is reportedly prepared to do it. The nuclear option of stripping titles is more than just a punishment, it is a defensive wall. By removing their royal status, William hopes to devalue their product. If they are no longer prince and princess, their secret recordings become just another celebrity gossip story, rather than a constitutional crisis. However, the world has changed. The audience for these stories isn't just in the UK, it's global. From the streets of New York to the social media feeds of Jakarta, people are captivated by this modern-day Greek tragedy. Meghan knows her audience. She knows that in the court of public opinion, vulnerability often beats tradition. If she releases these 1 a.m. voice notes, she won't be speaking to the palace. She will be speaking directly to the hearts of millions of people who feel unheard by powerful institutions. As we conclude this deep dive, one truth remains: the red alert inside Buckingham Palace isn't going away. Whether Meghan Markle eventually releases her memoir or keeps her archive locked in a digital vault, the damage is already done. The mystery of what she recorded in those quiet hours of the night will haunt the monarchy for generations. We are witnessing the final stand of an ancient institution against the unstoppable force of modern transparency. Will the monarchy survive this digital detonation? Or will the recordings of a duchess at 1 a.m. finally bring the house down? The answer lies within those journals, waiting for the perfect moment to be told. The war for the crown is no longer fought on battlefields. It's fought on smartphones, in publishing houses, and in the silent hours before dawn. This is the new royal reality, and there is no turning back.